versus Edward Newgate, and you just see this classic Zoro play, turn one Nami. No, this is just bread and butter Zoro right here.
100%. The fact he played a Nami, really?
Yep, and here we see Sanji. Sanji's an interesting choice here. So Sanji in Whitebeard basically says, add one card into life, and then he gets plus 2k, and you can attach 2 Dawn onto him.
Exactly. And honestly, in a deck such as Newgate, this does not hurt them at all. You get your hand advantage a lot earlier, and with that, it just helps tremendously.
And especially in Boatbeard here, especially if you can get that boat early, the Sanji does enable that to get live earlier. So
Oof, that's going to be really, really good. And the fact that Sanji does give that 2 Rusted Dawn, that is also really, really good. But for Christopher Nguyen, this is such a really interesting play for sure. Now, Zoro's going to go ahead and swing for a 6, and interesting enough, he's just going to take the life early on. I think he just really wants to build up solely for the boat.
Yeah. So, yeah, it seems like here he's just going aggressive boat.
100%.
And especially if he has it here, right? He's currently, what now, on 4 life?
Yes, 4 life. He was at 6. Sanji took down to 5. He didn't do Sanji. Ended turn, got down to 5. Just took the hit. That brings him to 4. And now it's his turn. There you go. He has the dice right there. So it just helps us all out.
All right. So, yep. So he is on the 4 life there. So now with this Sanji, he's going to go down to 3. And then potentially next turn, he's going to be on the boat turn. What he can do here with the Sanji is if he doesn't activate the Sanji this turn, the following turn, because he's going to be at 3 life, he just plays more defensive on the Zoro turn next turn, and then he can enable boat himself.
100%. And the fact that it's just going to be really interesting to see what Nguyen does. I think it really threw everybody off at the fact that he played that Sanji early on, but it may make sense. I mean, it seems unorthodox, but I mean, for him to get this far, obviously he's doing something right. But he's going to go ahead and Vista that Curly Dandan, which is really, really good. That's just 1 less body for an additional K that would make it applicable to swing with Zoro's ability. And he ends the turn, takes the life, and passes.
Yep, and then we're going to see...
Oh, actually, no, he does the Sanji.
Yep, so the Sanji is a swinger here. So now his boat is going to be live for the following turn, because the Edward Newgate ability at end of turn will add that card to hand.
Exactly. So and it is a good point that was brought up, is probably should have killed Nami knowing he has Makino. I think that is a very true statement. At the same time, I think that Curly Dandan versus Makino, either way, it should have been something that should have popped either or, honestly. So,
well, the big difference here between the Curly Dandan and the Nami is that the Nami is just a 2k, while Curly Dandan is a 3k.
Exactly.
So he does have to commit less on. I do agree with the fact that Makino is a thing, but because they're both red decks and they're very aggressive, you want those 2k counters in hand to be able to defend efficiently.
Yes, definitely true. But yeah, I think it was the Dawn was definitely the one to pop for sure. Now going back to the Zoro player, and for one, Nguyen is already at 2 life. This is really interesting. The game only just started less than 4 minutes ago. Went ahead and swung the Nami onto the Sanji. I think he's going to save this one.
Yep, ideally he wants to save here because, like I said, he wants to be able to enable that Sanji next turn as well, just to be even further along in the red aggro plan. And because these are both red decks, we're definitely going to see some really fast gameplay here, because
100%.
that's just what it is.
That Atmos right there. Oof, this is interesting. I think for Richard, this is going to be probably the idea to go for that Sanji once more, or he's pushing for life.
Right,
pushing for life.
Yep, and here you see that's the thing, right? Especially because of Whitebeard and just being able to self-enable yourself there, and the Whitebeard ability, your life is going to get down pretty fast, but your hand is going to be massive, especially with those 2k counters and stuff like that. It's just going to be a lot of pressure for the Zoro player to be able to just break that life now, especially when he has so many cards in hand, right? So here you're just going to see a Vista swing into the Nami, and no defensive on that front there.
Of course. I think the biggest thing with Richard being defensive is countering out of those bigger swings of Newgate for sure.
All right, so what you're going to see here now is Richard is probably on his following turn is going to be looking just to push sheer damage because he knows his opponent has no life at all at the end of this turn unless we see something here to potentially stop the life. But the Newgate on these Boat Beard decks, they don't typically play the 9 cost anymore because it's just too much of a commitment. But let's see what goes here. So here we see the Rush Jozu. Just gonna put some pressure here, and interesting choice here, activating the Sanji ability.
Himself to go on. That's really an interesting play by Nguyen, truthfully. I think the biggest thing right now is just why is he doing it the way he's doing it? I mean,
because he still has 2 Dawn active, so if he can find Boat here, Vista is swinging in for good damage here. But in this late game scenario here, maybe he knows he has enough counter value to protect from a big Zoro swing here. So let's just see what's going on here.
Yeah, definitely true. And I mean, has 2 Dawn up. I'm pretty sure that's going to be for the defensive, whether it's Red Hawk or
it could be Radical Beam.
Could be
Radical Beam is a plus 4K here. It could be
Guard
Point,
yeah.
Things like that, because like this deck does tend to play a lot of those defensive stuff. And here you're gonna see the Jozu potentially swinging in here for a little bit of chip damage here.
100%. And Zoro does have quite a bit of cards in hand. Sheesh. And I think it's off of the fact that he knows that Christopher has a lot of bodies and can definitely push for some heavy damage if he plays that boat for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think with him playing Sanji, that kind of told his opponent what it is that he's running.
Yep, so here you see the Dawn attached to Jozu, and Jozu's going to be coming here for a 5K swing. When you attach that Dawn, you do get the rush here. And now you see the 6K swing coming in from Edward Newgate himself, and just being a hefty 6K body at least gets 1 card out of the Zoro player's hand.
100%.
And here you see the 2K counter from the Otama. So Richard here does potentially have game, but Whitebeard has a lot of cards in hand, and these Whitebeard decks run a lot of 2K counters, so it's going to be very difficult. Richard basically has to put pressure on the board. He has 7 Dawn, so he could potentially play 2 Zoro rushes and attach the Dawn onto Zoro leader here to get some very good aggression going, but we'll definitely have to see what Richard has in hand and if he can press for game here.
100%. And I think it's going to come down to, does Richard have a rush in hand? That really does make a difference because of the fact of if he does wish to apply all Dawn onto his Zoro and push for Zoro and maybe, I don't know, put 3 to the side or 4 to the side. No, he can do 3 to the side to have the rush Zoro swing for a measly 6. But truthfully, I do not think Richard has it this turn. He has to put out a lot of damage right now to really make that happen. He can go either wide or narrow. I think going into Whitebeard, you want to go wide and do a lot of 6K swings.
And he's just going to go for a full 12K swing here.
Full 12K.
So basically he's saying, Chris, if you have it, you have it. So
if you don't, yep. It's GG for turn 1.
But there is active Dawn here, and you see Chris tapping out here.
Can he get to 16? That's what he needs right now is 16.
No, how much is that right now?
Yeah, he attached everything to Zoro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So yeah, that's a 12K swing right there.
Made 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah. 9, 13,
that is right there.
Yep. Math be mathin'. And he passes on. Ooh, this is going to be a really rough turn, especially if Christopher has that boat in hand. That immediately makes it so rough.
A big boat turn here would be huge. And now we see here Chris on... This looks like a Dawn turn right here. So Portress the Ace here would be good. Boat would be good. Definitely a lot of cards right here, right now would be good.
Boat would pick this so...
Boat Jozu, double Jozu attach. This would be very, very good. But don't count Richard out yet. He has a lot of cards in hand still. So let's see what he's going to do here. It doesnit look like Chris has the boat.
Yeah, no. And it's going to be, I think that's kind of what he was looking for with that Sanji early on. But it's really, really interesting to see. It is, I don't want to say it's impossible for Chris to win in this turn. It really comes down to what Zoro has in hand. Sometimes a lot of cards that are in Zoro's hands may not be counters. If it's the Rush Luffy, if it is, he has cards right there as far as the 5 to face again. I think it's just checking those 1Ks.
Yep, these 5K swings are at least just one card out of life, right?
Exactly.
So, or out of hand, I should say. And that's what this matchup is just going to boil down to. It's just going to be who sees their pieces and if Chris can see the boat or not, because boat is very impactful.
Oh, 100%.
So here you're just seeing Chris just attached on, swing, attached on, swing. So both players just playing classic red shenanigans. And here we see another 5K swing into leader. And now we're getting to the point of where Richard is getting on the back foot here, because now this is potentially, there's the 7K swing and he passes over, still 2-Don active, and Chris still has a bunch of cards in hand.
100%. And I think it's really going to be down to, I believe if
And
Chris,
here is a, oh, that's a big swing there. That's 14K right there.
That's a big one right there. Does he have it? It seems like he does.
Yeah,
Radical beam.
Yeah, we definitely see some stuff here.
Yeah, it seems like he has that right there.
Okay, let's see what he does here.
Radical beam is going to get him to 10, and then
if he does radical beam, guard point, and a counter, he's good.
Radical beam is going to get him to 10.
That's 10.
He needs.
That's guard point. That's, oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 15K counter right there, just easy like that.
Jeez.
And that's where we see the defensive power of Whitebeard, just being able to run those one cost. Radical beam coming in clutch.
Oh, 100%.
One cost 4K.
Immediately, especially in a deck such as this, is really, really good. There's really nothing.
And now Chris is in the driver's seat, because this right here, this can spell game easily.
Oh, 100%.
On 10 Dawn, he is sitting comfy. He just needs a few swings here. And Richard seems low on hand resources here. So let's see what...
Man, if Chris has that boat right now...
but we've been saying...
Yeah, we've been saying that,
boat
but he
is the way. We want to see the boat.
It seems like he's grabbing for this Dawn right
That's
there.
That's 3 Dawn right there. So let's see what he's dropping here.
Yeah, boat definitely guaranteed to win 100%. I do not disagree right there. Oh, man, let's see what he does here. I think he...
Okay, he's doing the math here. So, it doesn't seem like he has boat. But the fact that he can just be this resilient and just pressing damage without the boat. Imagine if he had the boat.
Oh, my God. This would be over already, immediately. That's just the craziest thing ever. And the biggest thing is just how Chris goes about this. I think in a case such as this, he has quite a bit of cards in hand. I think he wants to go with the option of going wide rather than going... we're starting with narrow swings. With example, the 9K to face. He has to discard quite a bit.
That's at least 3 cards right there for him.
Exactly.
And here we see Newgate just being Newgate, because just he's massive. He's a 6K while all other leaders are 5Ks. So just being able to swing at these magical numbers, just being able to pressure Zoro here is just the sheer power of
100%. And the fact that his base swing requires you to discard a 2K to counter out of it. He's going to go ahead and take the life. And I think that was quite a bit of a smart decision, because now with the rest of his swings, he has the higher likely chance of being able to counter out of these.
Yep, he needs to see the counter value here to be able to defend against this onslaught here. So let's just see what Chris has up his sleeve here, because he still has 7 Dawn available to him. So definitely some pressure can be applied here for sure.
100%. And it's really going to come down to how Christopher decides to distribute this Dawn properly. I don't believe it's the best move to just go full frontal everything onto one, because Richard has quite a bit of cards in hand, and Christopher does not know what he has in hand. You can always look at his trash, and Richard is very... he's
saying, if you have it, you have it.
Oh, man. He said, let me lay it out for you. Let me just find out. Ooh, that is a big swing right there.
Does he have it? That's
Yep.
2. That's 4. That's 6.
Oh, man. He countered out of that.
Yep, 3 cards counter. And let's see here.
He said, do you have it? Nope.
Nope, doesn't have it. Yeah.
Jeez, man, that was crazy.
Yep, Christopher just deciding, you have it, you have it.
Yeah,
let's not even ask any questions. Let's not think about this. Just go.
100%. That was such a good matchup, and it was quite interesting off rip in the beginning of this match to see Christopher throw out that Sanji and start using his ability more than once to really get those cards in his hand. It's quite different, and it's really, in a way, unorthodox of any Newgate player to want to get their cards out of their life quicker rather than later, and that's really really interesting. But in the case of running boat beard variant, it is something that you want to do so that when you do get that boat, it does quite a bit of damage.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one thing to be said is that if he did draw that boat from top deck, or if he got it from Sanji, that this game would have been really a lot more different.
Yep, yep. So that's the thing, right? That differs from Strawbeard and Boatbeard. You need to see the boat. If you don't see boat, a lot of your explosive power is neutered, and that's the thing here, right? Didn't see the boat, couldn't press those good numbers, right? If he had boat any of those three
I'm about to say
turns,
that's 2K additional to every card that he had on his field, with the exception of Sanji.
that's basically an extra card guaranteed out of him.
100%, especially that 2K. It's really two extra cards. You have to do just the 2K and something else. So it's like it's so much.
Yep. So Chris there unfortunately couldn't see the boat, but he did do very well using that Sanji aggressively to fuel his hand. Now the question is, was that the correct way to go about it? Just putting all that onto the Jozu? Maybe he should have played it a little bit safer, more relaxed, and just 5K check, force those cards out of hand. But he was realizing, maybe I can't counter out.
Right, and I think the biggest thing was that I think Chris went about it in a very smart way of trying to, if you have it, because I feel like my initial thought was if he went the route of going wide swings, then it would just be a lot of simple cards being milled out, and it wouldn't really go anywhere. So I think Christopher made the right decision by going full narrow, everything onto my biggest body that I have on the field right now, which is Jozu. And if you have it, you have it. If you don't, then GG, that's fine. And that's the biggest thing with running Whitebeard, especially the boat beard variant, is that you are taking gambles, and more times than not, you're paying off a lot, because obviously, Chris Geyer, so it's not like it's the first time he's playing with this variant of deciding to, for example, play to Sanji, which is just, it threw everybody off for a loop of just like, okay, I didn't think you would want to take life early, but he's like, no, I want these cards in the hands, I want to take these gambles because I trust that my deck will do me good. I built it just how I wanted it to be built, and this is exactly how it should be done.
It's very interesting because, in that scenario there, I don't remember if he had the Newgate unsuspended, so he could have also probably put the Dawn onto Newgate and swung for maybe 2K more, and maybe Richard wasn't able to have it, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to definitely take a look back at that a little bit later, but here we're just going to go straight up into game 2, so we're just making sure the lives are correct just before we get started here. So let's see game 2, Red v Red, Aggro v Aggro, and hopefully we can get to see the boat here for the first time on stream.
100%. It's really good on Richard to honestly come out on top of that last match where he had the counters in hand. I think he played it very smart with not focusing so much on board, but more sure it's just big swings, which is pretty unusual for typical casual players and or new people into the scene. They like to go with, let me fill my board, because I feel very hesitant to not fill board. But in the case going against Whitebeard, it's like you're doing big swings towards me more times than not, I'm going to do the same thing back to you, because either you're going to discard hands or not have it, and it's the same thing for me. So it's a really, really good thing that Richard decided to follow up with the same thing.
And that's just a testament to Richard as a player, because you see Richard putting all that Dawn for a couple of turns onto the Zoro. He knew Whitebeard was pressuring his own life, and that's the thing, right? So once you do that, you can just swing, and they have to use the counter value. If they don't have it, then they're getting pressured, right?
100%. And the first couple turns so far in this round have been very, very interesting. Christopher passed his turn 1, and Richard got the Curly Dadan to go ahead and get some additional card into hand. And now on Christopher's follow-up turn, he played the Visa to pop the Curly Dadan, and then for Richard to then respond with playing my Sunny and this Nico Robin. For any little measly thing that you wish to play on the board, I'm going to try to get rid of it.
So most people actually have been cutting the Nico Robin from the Zorals just to play the more aggressive package, but this Nico Robin still is going to do work here, because that Nico Robin can get rid of the Vistas, so they can get rid of the Diamond Jozus, and even at a very worst case, an Atama on a big Atmos or something like that just to being able to minus Dawn there, and popping something 3K or less is very good.
Very, very true. And I wouldn't throw it away at the fact that Richard may have a Gordon, because if he does have a Gordon and whatever Christopher decides to play, if it's a big body, he can always Gordon it and possibly get rid of it with Nico Robin in the follow-up. So I think that's also very possible. Like, for example, he threw Atmos. Now let's see in response, does Richard have a Gordon, which he most likely does in hand, to make that Atmos down to 3K and then poppable by Nico Robin while still swinging to face at Christopher. It's going to be very interesting.
And for people at home that don't know what Gordon does, Gordon is a 1 cost that you can actually play and put to the bottom of your deck to minus 2K, I believe.
3K.
3K,
Yes,
even
yes.
better. Minus 3K to a body just to then swing with Nico Robin. So clearing a 6K against certain matchups is pretty deadly. And because you have to commit forward onto this Atmos, right, then you lose out on your aggression.
100%. This is going to be quite an interesting feat to see what exactly Richard gets off of this Nami. See, it could be one thing if he happened to pull typical red player Jet Pistol, because then it would get rid of that Atmos.
Oh, speaking of it, Jet Pistol
man,
right there.
that observation hockey is on
Oh,
point
it's
today.
on point.
100%. He goes, gets
Jet
rid of
Pistol,
it. Yep,
Atmos.
100%.
And there's the pressure just gone from Christopher right now.
100%. And then the 6K measly swing, he's going to take the life. He wants it early. Oof, this is going to be really, really interesting to follow up on Christopher's behalf.
All right, so now we're on 2 life on the side of Christopher. So we've been saying it this whole game, and we still haven't seen it yet. But let us see. Can we see the boat?
Oh, man.
Can we see the boat?
Big boat energy. Sheesh.
We really want to see the boat here. The boat would be very good, just to be able to give that extra 2. So Newgate's now swinging for 6. Vista is now swinging for 5. Attach a couple of Dawn, maybe getting some other cards onto the board. Maybe you see another Atmos. So we definitely want to see the boat.
Let's see what Christopher decides to do. He's on 7 Dawn. 2 life still available. I don't think it'd be the move to play Sanji. It would immediately be popped by Nico Robin. He could go, if he does have it, the Vista to Sunny-kun, because it is something that is closer than Nico Robin to doing a 6K swing. He has options here, and he's going to go ahead and check the Zoro for 6. He has no other applicable target but the leader. And yep, he's going to go ahead and discard the 2K. And that's the good thing about Newgate, is that you have to discard a 2K minimum to get out of that, or 2 cards. He's going to go ahead and play the 4. Is it another Atmos? Marco.
Marco special.
A really good card.
Yep, so Marco here, very, very good. Just being a blocker, and if you have 2 or less life, you can trash a Whitebeard Pirates card to basically bring him back tapped. So doing very, very good. It's a very resilient blocker in this matchup here. But because of the Nico Robin on board, he can just use different cards to minus 2K and stuff like that on a Tomo into the Nico Robin, and just forcing cards out of Chris's hand. So we definitely have to see here. But Chris does have 3 Dawn open, and we did see those guard points. We did see those Radical Beams. Radical Beam is live now. It is a 1 cost 4K right now. So
100%. And the question is does he run Red Hawk? For those who don't know, Red Hawk has the ability to give 4K, but then also pops a card that is really every target on Richard's field right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see just exactly what Christopher has in hand. And it also is going to come down to how Christopher decides to use that Marco. Does he just use the block and does not discard to save it, because knowing that will minus him a card? He has quite a bit of options, and it also comes down to just exactly how Richard responds to Christopher's field right now, and or his 3 active Dawn, because it is something that has to be respected. He's going to go 5, popping the Vista.
Yep, good here.
Yeah.
Not wanting to pop the Marco Phoenix here now. Let's see if Chris decides to block with this Marco. Does he want to? He doesn't want to give up the 1 life here, because that would put him in a very rough position.
Well, the thing is, Richard is only swinging for 5, so it wouldn't take a life. Interesting. But he got the Moby Dick off life.
It would actually take a life because the one Don is
That
attached
is correct.
to
He
the
does
Zoro.
have Zoro. I did miss that. That is on me for sure.
Yep. So here we see finally
Ooh,
the boat.
Yeah, the boat's gonna really make a difference right now in this turn for sure.
And just for the like in the anime, the boat coming in at the clutch
The
time.
boat came at clutch. Ooh, this is going to be a really interesting match now, especially with Christopher. Jozu is definitely a card. Ace is definitely a card. He definitely has a lot of things that can possibly do wrong. Zoro
Ooh,
swinging for that 6
Yep.
to face. Does he block with the Marco? Ooh, there's options here. There's really
One radical beam could stop that. One guard point.
a measly 1K. Like he has options. It seems like he has quite a bit of cards in hand. So it's not like he doesn't have it. I think it comes down to how does Chris want to do this.
So he's deciding if he wants to block with the Marco Phoenix here.
If he does block with the Marco, is he going to trash a card to save it back? I think that's what he's going to do here.
He has quite a few options.
He does. He has quite a few options. He's going to go ahead and save it by trashing the other Moby Dick. That makes sense. Yeah, so he has to put it in the trash and then bring it back rested, yes.
All right, so we finally see the boat online. And here you see the Makino here to pump up the Sunny.
It's going to be the Sunny Kun. Sunny Kun is now a 7K swing.
Yep, so 7K here. And now Chris has to decide. Oh, he decides to do the Nami instead. Okay, so that works just the same. So Nami is going to be a 6K swing here.
Oh, that's actually a really good decision because if he did it the other way, he would not have Don left to make Nico an applicable target for swinging. So Chris is really going to have to do this correctly because Richard is really coming accurately with the 6 swings every single time. It makes Christopher have to pay 2Ks or events that he does not want to pay for something as cheap as a 6K.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to go ahead and Red Hawk. Ooh, that Sunny Kun. That's really, really good right now.
Yep, and then there goes the Sunny Kun. So now a little bit of the aggression turned off here, and we still have the attacker in Marco Phoenix potentially for next turn, the attack block. And let's see if we see another Marco Phoenix here. Would be very, very good on Christopher.
That would be really, really deadly. Either that or doing the Jozu and swinging for another target. And he's going to go ahead and attach it to Don onto Zoro. He's going full aggro here, pushing for 8 to 6.
And here we just see the guard point making it a 9K.
That's so good, man. The one card to really save life is really crazy.
All right, and now we're going on to the 9 Dawn turn.
How is Christopher going to pull this off right now? Truthfully, he is kind of behind in regards to exactly board presence. It seems as though Richard has quite a bit of hand. He still has 3 life, so if Christopher does not go correctly in regards to Dawn attachment and respecting, then things can be really be popped right now. That Marco could be really popped if he does not do the Dawn correctly.
Yep, so he definitely needs to work on the board here. But how do you work on the board from this position, though? Boat is online, but he doesn't have the board presence. The Atmos ended up getting jet pistol early out, and that's the other thing as well, right? Richard can still jet pistol the Marco, force it, and then just start swinging.
100%. Now, this is the thing. Does Chris go for board presence, which I think is the right thing to do, or does he go for face? And he's going to go ahead and go 8 because of Whitebeard's ability, or Moby Dick's ability, better yet, sorry, to Nico Robin, which, truthfully, as a Zoro player, there's no point in saving that. It's gone.
Yep, so just going to let the Nico Robin go here. So that does take a little bit of the aggression off Chris. And now we're going to see here for 3 what's going to come down here. This is probably the Squad. Very good. So now Squad is going to minus 4K to a target and then swing with the Marco Phoenix. So he's not going to commit resources to that. Another 3 for another Marco Phoenix. We just talked about this, and still has 2 Dawn active. So you know he has that protection.
100%. 100%. This is going to be crazy right here.
So Chris definitely playing some big brain strategies here into this aggressive matchup, but Richard has a lot of Dawn available and still has a few cards available to him, so rushers can come out here.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
So it would be very unfavorable right now for a jet pistol to jet pistol the Marco, have the Marco come back and just start pressing for game. But those two Dawn active is still active here, so definitely can't go in for the swing for game just as of yet.
100%. And this is not necessarily a game state for Richard. I think Richard has to play this turn very smartly. Christopher does have two Dawn. He's already seen one Red Hawk. So Richard does have to be very articulate with his swings right here. He's going to go ahead and use Machina to obviously make Nami 5k, and he's going to do the 5k to the Marco, seeing if he wants to save it or not. I think that is a very smart decision because it gets one less card out of Whitebeard's hand, and if Richard feels like it is just enough, he can go really more aggressive here.
Yep, so it seems like he's just going to use a 1k counter just to protect 2k counter just to protect the Marco Phoenix here. So good on Chris there, not just taking the swing and forcing the trap.
That is gonna be hurt.
And
right
here we see the OPO2 Menace Edward Newgate character card.
That's
that just makes things a lot more different.
Yeah, because
so
now that Zoro's at a 7k.
7k swing, and that's going to be until the end of Christopher's turn as well. And now all the characters on board are going to be plus 2k as well. So
he's going to go ahead and out that with the Otama. Nice. Interesting. And he still has that Dawn active, so at least it's very possible, or it could be a feint in regards to letting Christopher know, like, hey, I have maybe a guard point, I may have a radical beam, or nothing at all. It's really, really good to have that one Dawn up there instead of trying to go full aggro, knowing that Christopher has the Marco that was active at that point.
But you see here, right, this is not a bad position for Christopher either, right? Because remember, he still has Moby online, right?
Definitely.
So his Whitebeard would definitely get in regardless, even though Zoro is at 7k. But his attackers also can still come in as well. So it is impactful, but not as impactful in other matchups as well. So let's see what here Christopher can do to potentially deal with this board here.
100%. Now, do keep in mind that his Marcos are 7 and his Whitebeard a third Marco.
No, that is looks like the Diamond Jozu.
Oh, it is a Jozu.
So yeah, so Jozu, he's just pressing here. So that Jozu swing is a 7k swing onto life. So that's going to be definitely forcing a card out of Richard's hand. And there you see the Sunny Kun just coming in to counter out.
Now, he does have 5 Dawn. Is he wanting to go for another Jozu? I don't think that's the right move. But instead, he's going to go for what seems to be, if he attaches that Dawn, a 9k swing on to Zoro once again. That's going to be quite interesting.
So yeah, so he's just going to take that there, get some hand resource back, and just seeing what happens here.
And he's going to go ahead and pass. That is a lot of Dawn active. Quite a bit.
That is
action.
4 Dawn, so that at least could be 4 radical beams right there.
That is a lot. Right now, what would really help Richard, if he did run Jambe, that'd be really, really good. If he ran an Otama right now to at least get rid of one of the Marcos, Gordon
and
is...
there's the
Gordon. There's that
game.
Gordon.
So Gordon going to put back to
-3 that Marco
3.
right there. And now with that, Whitebeard is going to swing, possibly get rid of the other Marco and popping one on the swing because of his ability.
Oh,
he's
another
gonna Gordon the other one. Oh.
Okay, so you as Richard now are clearly in the driver's seat because
100%.
that
Is that
ability,
a Vista? Oh, popping one, that hurts.
Okay, so that is a guaranteed pop there, and now you have 2 Dawn active. Do you just attach the Dawn onto the Newbeard? Or the Newgate and just say swing?
Oh man, I think it.
Or do you spread the damage?
I think in this case, to really get those cards out of hand, I think it would be really advantageous for Richard to just attach on to Newgate, save the 1 Dawn in a defensive case of where he may counter out of it. He's going to go ahead and swing 13 to face, popping the Marco because of Newgate's ability of adding 2 Dawn when attacking to KO a 3 or less. Marco's at 2 right now because of Gordon. And now Chris has to counter out of this really heavily right now. 13 to face. He's going to need at least 8k right now? Yes.
Yep, so he would need to have a 4K to bring him up to 10, and then he would have to still counter out of that 13. It's a lot, but it's
Actually, no, because Zoro has the Dawn attached. It's 14 that he has to get up.
so that's a radical beam. So that's +4.
That's 10 right there. That's 14 right
That's
there.
14 right there. And does he have it? Of course.
16.
16 able to counter
With
out.
only 3 cards. That's so good.
And that's just the strength of Newgate, just being able to
Swinging
counter.
that 7, he dropped the 2K. Ooh, this is going to be an interesting follow-up turn right now. It really is going to come down to what he gets off this top deck, but he does have 2 bodies, one of which is 6K, or actually both of which are 6K because of Moby Dick's ability, and that Newgate is 8K, and this is without attaching any Dawn whatsoever. Zoro has no blockers, or no active Dawn. It is really... Honestly, I see Christopher taking this game right here. This seems like a very winning case right now. Yes, Squad is actually at 7. I'm wrong. Yes.
Yes. So here it really comes down to how these dawns are allocated, and you see Chris here making sure he's counting and seeing what has been seen, how many Machinos, how many 2K counters, and he wants to make sure that all the information to him is available. So let's see what happens here.
Man, this is going to be quite an interesting feat for sure. Let's see. That Newgate is at 8. Does he wish to go and check the 9, get some cards out of hand? From what we see, it seems to be like Richard has 3 cards in hand, which is really, really low. But he will get those 2 more if he decides to take these lives, making it 5, which could be really helpful for him. But it really comes down to how Christopher swings these cards right here.
So you see here him going for life, and that looks like 1 left in the life slot there, and still has 7 Dawn active, but it looks like he's just going to spread around the Dawn here. I'm not going for no big plays here. So let's see. That is looking like
a 9K swing. That's checking for 9s. I don't blame him at all.
That's
right
3 cards that he will have to get rid of there, potentially.
And with the Dawn that Christopher still has left, it is very possible that he could have a Jozu to rush and swing for an additional 7.
Yep.
But he's going to go ahead and make Squad a 10K swing, because Squad is at 5 with the Moby Dick making him 7 and 3 additional Dawn making him 10. He's checking for 10 now this time.
10 is very interesting because that could just be a couple of 2K counters and a 1K. So maybe he's planning around for the extra Dawn just in case Richard is able to counter out of this. So let's see what ends up happening here. As you know, in this game there are magical numbers, and 10K is a little bit an iffy one. You want to be at that 11K to draw an extra card.
He's going to take this, and honestly, in Christopher's position, is he just going to go ahead and swing?
Yep, for the full Whitebeard swing here. So that is 12K.
Yes,
and GG's.
Oh, man. See, that boat makes a difference, man.
Yep.
That boat makes a big difference. And the fact that, yes, if it would have really helped Richard if Red Hawk was in his life for trigger, minusing that 10K. But let's be real, how many times do you ever really see that happen?
Yeah, and you see there the impact of the boat.
The boat literally made so much of a difference, because in the case, let's say that boat wasn't on the field and he swung it with Jozu first, Squad could have been possibly popped with a jet pistol off of life if he did not attach Dawn. But because of this measly fact that Moby Dick was on the field, he did not have to attach any Dawn anywhere and could have base swung at each for something over 6K. And
Squad plus boat is guaranteed at least 2 cards coming out of his hand.
Oh, 100%.
Right, so that impact of the boat is just so good.
So good, because 7 is that sweet spot for 5K leaders, and then the fact that that boat just makes everything really crisp right there at that 7K swing. Beautiful.
And as we see in the chat, we want to get some boats in chat. Let's drop those boats because we love those boats out here.
Yo, honestly, that was a crazy match. Truthfully,
Yep.
having that Zoro win the first match and then having Boat come around and win that second match is really a good back and forth. I'm really liking the gameplay that is played on both parts. Having that Sanji in game one that was just completely threw everybody for a loop, but he was able to mill through those cards and get such a hand advantage really early on is really really different. And then the fact that in game two, finally seeing that Boat off a trigger and having that out there for free, he was able to do a lot more and kind of get rid of the board presence that was on Zoro's field, and then to push and finalize for game once he had that board established on his side.
Yep. Boat.
So crazy.
Boat doing boat things, man. And unfortunately, we're not gonna have the boat for OP03,
I
but
know.
boat
So
boat is
tears.
just boat, right?
So many tears.
So yep. So they're getting ready for the final game. This is where it's at. Both players, Red Revet, and it's good that we're going into the nitty gritty because a lot of people think that this matchup is just, oh, go here, go here. No, this matchup here is a thinkums matchup because you can't be too aggressive because
100%.
you will get punished on the clap path.
100%. And I think what it's coming down to is just exactly how they use those cards correctly. I think it was very, very much a pro move by Christopher to use the ability of Squad when he had no life, because what some people do not tend to remember is that Squad's ability does not have to be activated and forcing you to take a life. If you have no life, you can still activate Squad's ability to -4 on something. So I think it was very smart of Christopher to play it at that moment when he had no life, because it just helped so much to get that -4 for free, essentially. So it was so
For
good.
sure. Squad just being a 5k. And that's the difference between Squad and Sanji, right? For Sanji, you have to have that card, but for Squad, no card needed, right? So you can just go, boom, 5k with both 7k.
Yeah, it is very, very crazy, 100%. And the biggest thing is just, oh man, having that Moby Dick that came out is just so crazy. The fact that he was able to drop that Moby Dick off of life when he had it in hand after we realized it at that point when he discarded it is really, really good, because to get it for free, the fact that it is a trigger makes such a big help. And I think that is partial as to reason as to why it got banned in the first place, because not only is it something that is so much of a learning, or not even a learning curve, apologize, so much of a power boost to make those 5k swings now super deadly, and having your opponent forcefully have to discard 2 to save on measly 3k or 3 cost drops is so good, and great sportsmanship on both players' behalf. Dapping up for the final of the best of 3. Zoro's going to go ahead and start off, get out and play that Nami, get that 3 cost Raw Zoro, which is really going to help against this deck for sure. And especially with Christopher getting those 2 Dawn, he's going to go ahead and swing. Well, don't know why he's swinging right now. It's turn 1 for him, but he made a mistake. It's all good. He's going to go ahead and get those 2 Dawn, play out Moby Dick now early, which is really good. He must not have any other turn right now. He's going to go ahead and draw and pass. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see what it is that Richard comes up with in this following turn. Is he going to go ahead and play the Zoro and just have it there for the follow-up turn to swing 3 6Ks? No, he's going to go ahead and play the Nico Robin and pass. Now, Christopher has the follow-up turn to now swing for sure with this leader. He did make the mistake last turn. It's going to be very interesting. But he's going to go ahead, get those 4 down. What is Christopher going to play? Now, so he's going to go ahead and check 6k 2 leader. Richard is going to go ahead and take that life. Something as a easily early life, and he's going to go ahead and jet pistol to Nico. He's not even going to want to worry about it. I do not blame him in any way, especially with Gordon being a card that he's seen in his deck now. He knows that it's really easy to start popping cards, especially in the later game when he needs those cards out to really utilize Moby Dick's ability a lot more. Now the question is, how does Richard respond? He's going to go ahead and play the Zoro, most likely attached to the leader Zoro to swing 6 with his rush. And Christopher is now going to either discard or take that life early on. I think he's going to take it so he can get the Moby Dick activation really early. Now with that, he's going to go ahead and play to boost up the Nico. Not Nico, I apologize. The Nami, making Nami a 6k swing now. Having Christopher decide on whether or not he wants to take that life again, or if he wants to go ahead. He went ahead and took. He's going to go ahead and take it. Yep. He's really, really fueling that Moby Dick early, which is going to be quite scary, especially with Jozu being a card, Ace being a card. We have not seen Ace in Christopher's build as of yet, but it could be likely that he plays it in a later game state. So it's going to be really interesting to see just exactly Christopher is going to respond to this. He does possibly have cards to get rid of Richard's board, but is going to be really dependent on how he plays it. Richard does swing an additional 6 to face, really going wide, which is the best way to kind of go about Whitebeard. It makes them very hesitant to want to discard 2Ks for something that could be a 1K swing. But Christopher's going to go ahead and take the life, which is quite interesting. He's really already down to being able to play and use Moby Dick's ability already, and he hasn't even gotten to 10 Dawn yet. He just got to his 3rd turn, which is really, really interesting. Let's see what Christopher does in response. Does he play the Jozu? Does he go defensive? Does he get the Vista to kind of get rid of stuff on board? He has quite a bit of options here from what we've seen so far in his list. It's really going to come down to how he wants to go about this. So he's going to go ahead and swing the 8 onto Nami. Pay to 4. Is it a Jozu? No, Jet Pistol. He's going to go ahead and get rid of that other Zoro for sure.
Taking some of the aggression off.
Yeah, makes quite a bit of sense for sure. Yeah, it's really interesting. Whitebeard's already down to 0, and he just ended his 3rd turn. That is quite an interesting move by Christopher. But as you've seen in the last 2 matches, Christopher has been very, very good at preserving his life for multiple turns at no life when Richard had a board and didn't have a board. So it is quite interesting. Because from what we've seen, at least from a overview of Christopher's hand, he has quite a bit of counters and quite a bit of events to be defensive. But oh man, it's really going to be interesting.
I mean, we just talked about the 1 cost 4K. So 1 cost 4K, 1 cost 4K into 2K counters. Sometimes that's all you need just to defend it out.
100%. It's just so interesting. Christopher's trash is literally nothing but 2 Jet Pistols, quite a bit. He's gonna go ahead and swing Zoro for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Christopher would need to discard possibly a Radical Beam and a Guard Point. Actually, no, I apologize. He's going to go ahead and just do the 2 to Red Hawk and
a 1K. That's it.
Yeah,
right
clears
there.
the board right there. He said, yeah, if you have Makino, good luck with that. It's not going to do much here. That's really good. That's really, really good.
And here you still see Christopher has a full hand, so he just has 2K counters just up the wazoo.
100%. 100%. Quite an interesting play by Richard. I think he's went ahead and passed. Yes, he went ahead and passed. Now Christopher is finally at 8 Dawn, which is quite astonishing. He is at 0 life. Moby Dick is definitely on the field right now. What seems to be like Zoro has quite a bit of hand and still has 4 life. So there's no way that Christopher can get it in this turn, particularly. But it's going to be quite interesting. Does he go into the defensive? Does he go into... He has options here. If he plays... like double Marco.
Double Marco is definitely a good play here.
That's something.
But now he is in the driver's seat because now Zoro doesn't have a board, which is not the usual scenario for Zoro. Zoro definitely has the board, but like we were speaking about earlier, Richard can recognize that he can just press big numbers here. He could just slam all the Dawn onto Zoro and just start swinging.
100%. Christopher's going to go ahead and check for that 9K swing because of Moby Dick being on the field. Whitebeard is at 8. The additional Dawn. There's that 1 Marco.
There's 1 Marco, yeah.
And that, ooh, it's really good. He has the 1 Marco, but still has that 3 active Dawn. This could be Radical Beam. This could be Guard Point. This could be another Red Hawk if Zoro decides to play something else on the field before swinging, which is highly unlikely, but it's still a case scenario.
And there it is. Edward Newgate, and there's a 7K check, and then he's just going to let the Marco Phoenix, he's going to use the Marco Phoenix to discard the other Moby Dick that he has.
And bring it rested. Yeah, that's really, really good. and he's going to go ahead and pass because that was his whole turn right there. Now, Christopher has a very interesting case going on right here. Does he play another Marco? It is very possible because in the previous game he has seen that Richard has Gordon's, so he could pop Marco. He has quite a bit of options about what to do here, and that's the interesting thing about best of 3 games is that in cases like this where you've seen what your opponent kind of has now, you now start becoming either hesitant or more reluctant to want to play certain things because you now know what's in your opponent's deck, versus a best of 1 scenario where it's just like, I play this, if you have it, you have it, if you don't, I don't know. But now that he's seen those Gordons in the previous games, now that he knows that Otamas there's none in his trash, so it's possible that he has some in hand to either counter out of or to get rid of my Marco. Now that Newgate's on the field, there's various amount of options that really goes down to how Christopher moves forward with this turn. There's no real case scenario that he wins in this turn 100%, but it really comes down to how can I mitigate this turn and still be good for the follow-up turn.
The follow-up turn is definitely what you have to be looking for in these red v red mirrors. You don't want to get punished on the clapback, right? So it definitely is going to be interesting to see what Christopher does here to set up for his following turn after that, and he's making sure he's reading everything and seeing what he should do here, doing the math, doing the numbers, making sure he is safe. So he knows the world's at a 7K right now. So what would you do in here in this situation? Would you look to maybe pressure a little bit of life, just get that 1 chip in? But that is giving Richard the card advantage, perhaps. So let's see what Christopher can pull up here. We know he runs all those options, so this is going to be a 7K. This is going to be an 8K swing into Zorro here. So just 1 over. This is going to get a card guaranteed out of Richard's hand, and then so that's just 2 1K counters, and that reveals a little bit of information there.
Yeah, he might be not having those 2. Ooh, another Marco hurts.
Second Marco, and we just talked about this. But
does he play a third one? Nowhere.
No way he plays a third Marco.
If he plays a third one, that's so rough.
A third Marco, we did see in last game here. Both his Marcos did get 2 for 1 there.
Yes, definitely true.
What can Richard do against a third Marco? Okay, no,
Atmos.
We see an Atmos, so he's applying pressure.
Oh, this is gonna if Richard does not get it in this next turn that he has now, this will definitely go down to Christopher possibly winning for sure because it's just too many bodies on board.
Yep. This turn is going to be pivotal because Whitebeard is a very big aggressive body, but Richard needs to establish board presence here. He needs to deal with these Marco the Phoenixes, and he's just swinging the Newgate here, so that also tells some information to Christopher saying, oh, maybe he doesn't have the stuff that he needs to get rid of this here. So he's going to use the Marco ability to trash
Carta Magica.
the goat boat, man.
Oh, another one. This is rough.
We saw this. Oh man.
Oh please, this is so rough. Please make it stop. Please make it stop.
Man. Newgate just, oh man, that card.
Yeah, this is a rough one right here.
Okay, so another Newgate here. So next turn, we're talking about this follow-up. So
7 to that Marco.
7 to the Marco. He's probably going to want to protect the Marco, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So will he let it die? Will he guard out of it? So he's contemplating letting the Marco go. He's going to use the Marco effect to pitch the
Atmos.
Marcos.
Yeah, or the Atmos, yes, and bring it back.
And then bring it back. So now the turn is passed over. 3 life left on Richard's side.
Ooh, this is a rough one.
Double Newgate here.
So be mindful. Richard does have 3 life. Christopher has to get 4 swings in right here.
Yeah, so the thing is now, because of that Newgate, right, those Marcos are probably going to be looking to block those Newgates, and then you're losing at least 2 cards out of your hand.
Definitely. It comes down, does Chris want to go full aggression right here, which I do not think is the possible move right here. Unless he has a rusher in hand, I do not think that's the move right here.
Yep, so he has to play defensive here because, like I said, 2 cards in hand for those Marco the Phoenixes to make sure they're still on board, right? And then you still have to worry about the clapback, and that's what it's going to be down here. The clapback turn from one of these players is going to be so deadly that they won't be able to recover.
100%. I think Christopher's move is to probably get rid of one of those Whitebeards. If he gets rid of one, he's in such a better position right here.
Yeah, double Marco is deadly, but double Newgate is
It's
even
dead. Yeah,
worse.
that's bad. That's bad. That's so bad.
All right, so let's see what Christopher is doing here.
Otama.
So here's the Otama. So let's see what goes on here. Is this going to? So that Newgate is now
8-8 if he
8
doesn't
to 8.
attach anything, but he's gonna go ahead
and he's going to swing
10
into Newgate here.
So he has to discard a 2K, or if Richard does have a Radical Beam or a Guard Point in hand, he has to use it.
So that is double 2Ks that would have to, or double 2K and a 1K, or a double 2Ks would have to come to protect this Newgate.
100%. Or that Whitebeard is gone, and that helps so much.
Yeah, that definitely leaves that makes one of your Marcos now more live than the other one. So let's see what Richard here does. He has to think about this, because if he does have the one counter, that does alleviate a lot of pressure. But does he guard out of this and potentially sacrifice 2 cards out of his hand?
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting move on Richard's behalf. Does he lose that Whitebeard, or does he counter out of it? This is a tough decision right here. I think this decision right here will literally
make or break.
Yeah,
this game
this will
for
make
sure.
or break this game for sure. If he saves that and possibly saves another hit on it, it's going to be detrimental, 100%.
Yep. So, and that's the thing, right? Especially in this late game here, where you need this aggression, you have to make the decision to see if you want to keep your aggression or do you want to go down on a hand size. But going down on hand size against Newbeard is really tough.
Rough. It's so rough, and it's really if I'm in Richard's position, I think I want to save that Newgate.
Yeah, you would want to save the Newgate because you need that pressure, and he decides to let it go. All right, so he wants to keep the hand advantage here, which is a good decision from him.
100%.
Especially in this late game right here, where the boat is live. You need to be able to deal with this here. So
100%.
This is going to be a 10K swing into Zor. And he's just going to take it, so he gets a card in his hand. So now he's up in the hand advantage, and he just passes over.
He passes with 5 Dawn active?
Oh my days.
Oof.
We know we're going to see something.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a big...
Now, you as Richard are probably nervous, but the question is, do you drop? And this...
If you drop a
you would be a mad lad to drop a third Newgate right here.
You drop a third Newgate? GG's. I don't think that's the move. I do not think.
I don't think a third Whitebeard is the move, but he is making sure he is counting. He's checking his list and checking it twice because he wants to be naughty.
He needs to. He's like, ooh, do I do this? Do I drop the third new? If he drops the third new,
a third Newgate, and then Christopher has to respond. But there's a lot of pressure on board right now. He's on 2 life, right, with boat online, right. Does he do that?
If he drops a third new.
Okay, there's a jet pistol there. That's what we need to see. He's going to target one of the Marcos, it looks like.
Yeah.
Is that the correct decision here?
Oh, please tell me you've seen his hand.
I saw that hand.
That is so good.
Oh, my days.
Like,
okay,
yeah, Marco dies.
Let's hold it down. But let's see what goes on here. We saw that hand. We know what's going to come. But... oh my days!
That's so
Christopher
nasty.
is playing out of his mind right now.
Otama, what is it?
Otama
Targeting
onto
the Marco. Okay,
yeah.
He wants to get rid of that Marco by swinging with Newgate.
This is what you got to do here. All right, so he's going to be a 12K swing.
Does it do something now?
That's 12K right there.
Yeah, it is a 12K swing. The question is now: does Richard want to go for board presence, or does he want to go for game here? I think it's the correct decision to go for game because of the simple fact that he does not know what is his opponent's hand, and that 5 Dawn active is very...
5 Dawn active at this stage in the game is scary.
It is scary. As Richard, I'd have to check his graveyard. I would
have to be counting everything.
Yeah, I had to see how many events have I seen this game. This is a tough decision.
And we talked about this earlier. He didn't have much in his graveyard in terms of events, so we know Richard must know that there are still events around there. And 5 Dawn active.
That's so.
That's
oh
a
my god, that's bad. That's so bad.
All right, so here you're gonna see a
14K. Ooh.
14K swing potentially coming out of this Newgate. Is he going to attach the last Dawn onto it?
15K.
He's going to swing at life.
15 pops to Marco. The question is, does Christopher wish to save that Marco for the follow-up turn? Oh, this is
I don't think you save that Marco. I think you let that Marco go, but you definitely counter out of this for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
100%.
let's see the counters here. So Newgate is at 6K.
Newgate is at 6K. He is swinging for 15.
15K. So we need at least
2 radical beams and a 2K. Is a beautiful hand if he has it. Oh, that's a tough one.
That's 4. That's 8.
He's
That's
going to
10K.
save the Marco, discarding the Jozu.
Okay.
He's doing it for the follow-up.
Good decision here on the follow-up. And now we need at least 9K encounters here. Or 10K encounters.
So he's going to go ahead and Red Hawk the Otama.
Okay, good decision here. That's plus 4K. Radical Beam.
Plus 4K.
Ooh. This guy's cracked.
Oh, yeah. That's sauce. So much sauce.
Oh, days. Imagine swinging at your opponent for 15K
He
and
just
just
has
saying
it casually.
casually 3 cards, nothing.
Just casually has it. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I've been had this for.
We understand that that's the deck build, but it's so surreal to
good,
see.
man. It's so good. And he just has the measly 6K swing, and as Richard, he's like, do I 6K to face?
6K to face, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
That's still 1 card out of Chris's hand, but what if in the Mad Lad turn of events he doesn't have
Oh
it?
my, yo.
After countering out
As the Whitebeard player,
doesn't
I would
have it?
cry.
No, he's gonna swing into the Marco Phoenix here, trying to get that Marco Phoenix off the board.
Radical Beam. Oh my.
Radical Beam the Marco.
3 Radical Beams in Red Hawk? Come on.
This guy said, I have everything and more.
The
So
code.
here is the crackback turn.
Oh, yeah. This is the turn right here. This
right?
is definitely a
So
turn right here.
definitely some pressure can be applied here.
3 Radical Beams in the Red Hawk is copium.
And we still don't know if Chris has more in stock, right? So
Oh, yeah. We haven't even... like, imagine if you played a Rokuya or something like that.
Oh my days, on sheer copium
Oh, yo,
vibes?
just let me pay 3 Don, attach a Don. Everything is plus 1 extra 1,000. Stop.
All right, so let's see how these ladder turns are going. We're just above 2 minutes here left in the game. So here's going to be a 10K swing onto Zoro.
He's gonna take that.
He
I don't
has to
blame
take
him.
that, right? He needs to see cards here, especially. So Richard, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. These swings are going to be crucial. He needs to be able to apply pressure here. 1 card left on the side of Richard. No cards left on Christopher. And this is the part I love about One Piece. We're going down to the nitty gritty. So he's swinging here. That is an 11K swing. So that's guaranteed at least 3 cards out of Richard's hand.
Yeah, this is a tough position right here. I think he's gonna have to take that. He does have quite a bit of cards in hand, but oof, this is a rough one right here.
All right, now let's see how this game will finish here. So that Marco, if he takes it, that Marco will be swinging in for a grand total of potentially 11, if my math is correct there. Actually, 12 would be the number.
Oof, that'd be a tough one right there, 100%.
12, that would be at least a couple of 3K counters and a 1K, or 2K counters and a 1K.
Definitely, and this is crazy how this match is literally coming down to the last minute.
To the last minute. And people think that Red is just going to be an unga bunga, 15-minute game. No. When you're at high-level tables, Red v Red is the biggest big brain thing you have to see on these tables.
And that's the funny thing is that typically a lot of normal Whitebeard games go for a couple minutes. This game alone has gone on for like 15, 20. This is a full game right here.
And this is the testament to the top tables, right? They know the mirrors, they know the cards that they need to play around, and they're playing around them very well.
100%. He's gonna go ahead and take that.
it. So now the question is, full swing, 12K, if you have it. And there's the GGs. Oh, Christopher taking it right there.
The power
with 10
of
seconds
Moby
left
Dick.
to spare.
That's crazy. The power of Moby Dick is real.
And Boat ends up taking it. That's what we love to see. We love to see the boat going on to top 4, ladies and gentlemen, with 10 seconds to spare. Good game by both of them, and we love to see that on the top tables. Shoutouts to both players for playing the great game there.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. That was literally
Back and forth, back and
so.
forth.
That's so good. Seeing a best of 3 like that, where it's 1-1, and you get down to the final. That's so good.
Very good play by both players. Insanely well done.
100%. And I definitely think that was such a good testament to showing how good Moby Dick is as a card by itself. Because if that card was not on the field, this game would not have gone as it did.
So we see how in game 1, Boat was not there, and the table wasn't impacted as much. Richard was able to easily clean up that game.
100%.
But in game 2 and game 3, we saw just the sheer power of the Boat.
And that's why that card needs to leave.
The boat
That card needs
the
to
boat
leave.
is still in port, but it hasn't left yet. We still have a little bit with the boat. The boat is still here, and just the sheer strength of the boat.
I'm not gonna lie. I need an alternate art of the boat to come out, even though it's gonna be banned, of the boat being destroyed. I need
just a full page of boat.
This is a full Bandai of like, here you go.
We're just driving the boat,
They're
baby.
just driving the boat, baby. Because oh wow, that was such a good match.
Yeah, imagine doubting the boat. Don't doubt the boat.
Yeah, that boat did some damage for sure. And it's really going to be interesting to see where the rest of the matches and how they finish. If we are correct, there is only one Dolphy player, from which we just seen, and he got in. Did he get the dub? He got the dub. So Dolphy is in top 4. I just want
All
to
right,
put
and
that
we're
out there.
back like the Treasure Cup Niagara. It's one man against the world.
Yo,
One man against the world.
I need him to come out on top. I don't. Jeez, look at that.
All right, so look at this graphic here.